TIMTSZYU, bro. TIMTSZYU just cleared his name, as the whole boxing world believed that he was ducking Terence "Bud" Crawford after his manager's comments. But that was his manager stating these things and not TIMTSZYU himself. And I personally said that TIMTSZYU was not ducking Terence Crawford, especially the way TIMTSZYU moves. He is definitely a throwback fighter and made it to my throwback fighters list. There's not too many fighters that move like TIMTSZYU. And we will also be talking about Shakur Stevenson's next opponent and how come it makes him look kind of bad. And these are the two topics that we will be talking about next. But before we get into that, if you guys are not subscribed, please punch and knock out that subscription button. That way you'll never see it again. And ding that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of my new boxing videos. Alright guys, let's get to the round. Ding ding. Okay champs, let's get started. So as the whole boxing world already knows, TIMTSZYU's promoter has stated that they are willing to vacate the WBO title to avoid a mega showdown fight with Terence "Bud" Crawford and making a mega showdown fight with Errol "The True" Spence Jr. And how is that a duck? I personally believe Errol Spence had an off night when he fought Terence Crawford. It's not like he's avoiding Terence Crawford to fight a way lesser opponent, kind of like Shakur Stevenson is doing, and we will talk about that a little bit later. Before the Terence Crawford fight with Errol Spence, they were both considered the #1 and the #2 pound for pound fighters in the world. And it was really up to the fans to say which one was #1 and which one was #2. I mean, Errol Spence did look very bad against Terence Crawford, don't get me wrong. And in the early stages, right after the fight, Errol Spence did not make any excuses. He just said the better man won. But slowly, the excuses kept coming out, and it's not like he did not have any excuses. There was excuses. Like Errol Spence running up the mountain only a few days before the fight. Now that will drain anybody. And then Quinton Randall came out that he had broken Errol Spence's ribs, and Errol Spence could not prepare for the fight as he could not spar. He also stated that he could not make 147 anymore, as he stayed in that weight division for a very long time. And the latest excuse is that he needed cataract surgery. And this is the only excuse that Errol Spence said himself. All the other excuses were from people that Errol Spence knew. And it will be different if Errol Spence did not have any excuses. Then you could rule out Errol Spence as a great fighter. So TIMTSZYU in an interview comes out and he states that he did not say anything like that. Not only did he say he will fight Terence Crawford, but he will fight Errol Spence and Jerome Boots Ennis. But I do believe Boots Ennis is still fighting at 147, and I don't see him moving up to 154 anytime soon. And TIMTSZYU in that interview states that he actually prefers Terence Crawford first because he is the best pound for pound fighter in the world. I believe he is one of the best, but not the best. The best to me goes to Naoya Inoue. But that was for 2023, and both of these fighters, Naoya Inoue and Terence Crawford and TIMTSZYU, made it to my fighters list. Now that sounds like a throwback fighter to me. And I love the way he is moving now. But do you guys think when he does make a lot of money and gets in silk pajamas, do you think he'll move just like everybody else in silk pajamas? Because it seems that every boxer that gets to that level and starts making a lot of money, they do act like they're all in silk pajamas. And do you guys think that David Benavidez will start moving like that also? Or will he always try to fight the best no matter what stage in his career he is in? So Canelo and Terence Crawford are definitely doing this, but they weren't doing this in the beginning of their careers. But maybe that's what they were trying to work for, is to get to that level. And once you start getting money fights, then you can pick and choose. But I hope Naoya Inoue, David Benavidez, and TIMTSZYU never move like that. And they keep that hunger for fighting the best all the way throughout their careers. And to tell you the truth, there's not a lot of fighters like that. Manny Pacquiao was like that though. He's still actually trying to fight. I believe he has an upcoming fight with Conor Benn. and he has been supposed to be retired. But I believe there's great fighters and then there's special fighters, and I believe Manny Pacquiao falls in the special category. But let's get to Shakur Stevenson. His next fight is going to be against Arthur Verteurenyoung. I know I butchered that, sorry. But no disrespect to Arthur, but this fight makes Shakur Stevenson look bad because Shakur turned down a fight with Raymond Murataya to fight Arthur Verteurenyoung. Now that is Frank Martin's leftovers, but that's not the bad part. The bad part is Shakur Stevenson was talking mad-ish about Frank Martin, saying Frank Martin is the biggest B word in the world. But I never believe any pro boxer will be scared of another boxer because that's what they do. They fight for a living. All they do is fight, so why would they be scared to fight another person? That's what they do all day. When I was in boxing, I was addicted to sparring. It feels like a drug, especially after you finish a good sparring session that this guy took you to your limits. It feels euphoric. So why would Shakur Stevenson call Frank Martin a B word and saying that he is scared? I wasn't scared to spar anybody. I know getting punched in the face hurts, but if you don't do it for a while, you kinda miss it. But that's neither here or there. And Shakur Stevenson stated that he will be fighting Murataya next. And Murataya is ranked number 2 in the rankings. But he turned that fight down to fight Arthur Verteurenyoung. And he is ranked number 8 in the rankings. And Frank Martin had already beaten Arthur. He is actually coming off a loss recently to Frank Martin. And now Shakur Stevenson wants to fight Frank Martin's leftovers? Now I personally believe that is going backwards because I think Shakur Stevenson is one of the best fighters in the world. I believe he had an off night with De Los Santos, but I wanted him to rematch at least De Los Santos, not fight Arthur or fight Raymond Murataya just like he said he would. But I do believe Shakur Stevenson was injured in the De Los Santos fight, and in order for him to get back on track, he will have to rematch De Los Santos and make De Los Santos look bad. And if he can stop De Los Santos with the injured hand that he said he had, that will be the cherry on top. But the De Los Santos fight showed how Shakur Stevenson handles adversity. And if Shakur Stevenson does not get hurt in the fight, I believe he can beat everybody. Except for maybe Tank. I think Tank can probably knock him out. And if Tank hurts Shakur, Shakur would just run around the ring. Comment below if you guys think TIMTSZYU is ducking Terence Crawford and if Shakur is ducking Murataya. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share the video, and that's it for me, champs. I gotta roll.